players get a bad rap in their careers a little too early because there's this general and widespread need to have a take and not even necessarily change the way you view things. So like you'll have a take, and whether you're right or wrong, you'll just hold on to it for dear life and just hope you end up being right one day. And I say all that to say, because I'm looking at Brandon Miller mainly right now. Brandon Miller in his last 10 games is averaging 23.3 points per game on 48% from the field, 40.5 from three, 85.2 from the free throw line. Since they've traded Terry Rozier, and even a little before that, he has been cooking. Scoot Henderson, who, and I know Lou was low on him like on the draft, but Lou was also great at like not stick. Like if he ends up being wrong, he'll admit he was wrong, and then he'll just go what he goes with. Yeah. Scoot Henderson in his last 8 games, 15.1 points per game, 4.1 assists. He's starting to find it. Cam Whitmore, he was in the G League a few weeks ago, and he was also like, all 3 of these players were considered quote unquote busts. I don't know why you would do that halfway through somebody's rookie season, but that was the talk about them. Cam Whitmore right now in his last 10 games, not a lot of minutes, but 16.2 points per game, 4.8 rebounds per game, 45.7% from the field, 41.3% from three. We have to start giving these players a chance to figure the NBA out, man.
Not everybody has the same learning curve. Not everybody has the same not everybody comes into the league in the perfect role. You know, like not everything sometimes is handed to these players. You know, in terms of patience, Brandon Miller was a bust just halfway into
after a summer league game.
Yeah, halfway into his first summer league game, people. Oh yeah, look at that. He's not athletic enough. Oh yeah, look. Like, shut up. Like seriously, like just shut the fuck up, man. Like I get pissed because like that to me just like you didn't really watch him play at Bama. Like,
right.
There's no way you saw this guy hoop at Bama and you were like, yeah, he's a scrub. Not good enough. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? He was 6'8", 6'9", playmaking, had the purest fucking jumper off the dribble that you can see. He wasn't the most athletic dude. He was 6'8", 6'9". Athleticism isn't always about verticality and bounce. I brought it up with James Harden. It's about deceleration. It's about just fluidity, coordination. He has those things. So yes, he is athletic. He's not athletic in the way you want him to be. That's not to say he's not bouncy. He'll get up. Yeah, he still has reach because he's 6'9". Like, come on, people. And now he's just, with Terry moving out of there, LaMelo kind of being hurt a little bit, just having to shoulder more responsibility. And boy, am I fucking happy because I sometimes I give myself pats on the back, man, because I love scouting players and I love when I'm just right on somebody. And in my personal opinion, he was a tier above everybody else not named Victor. Wembanyama was up here. Yeah. Then it was a drop. And then in my opinion, he was the only player in tier 2. And I'm happy he went to this team because I think this team would utilize him a lot better than the other teams that were around that area. Obviously Portland with Shaden and Jeremy getting paid. Like, I didn't think that made a lot of sense. Houston we knew what Houston was going to be. It was just a tricky situation, but I literally think he went to the perfect team, and people can say it was crowded. We didn't know if Bridges was going to play. Gordon Hayward was basically 1 foot out the door. Like, we could be honest, and it's a team that doesn't have expectations and is just allowed so he can be himself. And he's playing next to LaMelo, like an elite passer. So he's came onto the scene recently. He's getting to the cup. He's still playmaking. He's making his jumpers. He's shooting 40.5% from three. He's been a volume 3-point shooter over his last 10 games. Like 49, he's damn near 50, 40, 90 in his last 10 games as a fucking rookie in the NBA. In an era, in a stage of the season where most rookies tend to hit that rookie wall because they're about 50 games. They don't play 50 games in college. They're already 50 games into the year.
Right.
They don't even play 50 games in high school. They're already 50 games into the year. It's like this is typically the point of the season where they're hitting that wall, and instead he seems to just be hitting his fucking stride.
Yeah.
Not to mention he's doing all this offensively, and we haven't even mentioned the fact that he's been a plus defender since the jump.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
And I just want to add to it. You guys have talked a lot about his last 10 games. Let's go over his last 5 games because he's averaging 29 on 48%, 44.7 from 3 on 9 attempts, 86 from the line, 4 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.8 steals, 1.0 blocks, 1.6 turnovers. Like, that's great. 29 elite. And this is like hitting, like Lou talked about hitting his stride. He's hit his career high multiple times this last 5 game stretch. Like, you know, as a rookie, it's easy to say, but he's done it like 4 out of these last 5 games. He's hit a new rookie high, and he's just really finding his comfort, his feel for it. You know, Lou mentioned the situation, but that's a situation where in Charlotte where a lot of guys are kind of like playing for their own things, and Brandon's been playing hard all year round, trying to find himself, trying to not listen to the noise and stuff. Just such a fucking talent, man. He's so fun to watch. His jumper is so pretty. Like, for years we've had Steph and Clay, and mainly Clay, be like the textbook, like pure pretty textbook jumper. Now we got a new guy, and he's got a really nice jumper, man. He's got it. It's like that new era, and he talked about how PG was his idol growing up. Like,
you can tell.
This era, we're getting so many like 6'8", 6'9" guys that can shoot and have beautiful fucking forms. And this guy might be the cream of the crop when it's all said and done of this new era.
I'm gonna ask y'all both about Cam Whitmore because y'all did a lot of draft coverage for Miami Heat beat, and I know y'all both loved Cam Whitmore coming into the draft. And now I've loved seeing his. I don't want to say resurgence, that's not the right word, but I'd love to see his ascent because, again, I just hate when players get overly criticized. And so I'm going to go to both y'all on Cam Whitmore because y'all saw it early.
Yeah, go ahead, Frankie.
So for Cam, I wanted the Heat to draft him when he became available on draft night, but it wasn't because of his talent. Like, I was like, this is worst case scenario, we're stuck with Cam and he's still really a player. But I just thought, like, this is the kind of guy that would fit in Portland, and I thought it would make a lot of sense for the Dame trade. As a talent, like, worst case scenario, he's a super athletic scorer who can slash, who can dunk, who can shoot, and that's something that you can always make room for. I didn't love a lot of the stuff coming out of his coach. Like, that was like red flag, because you don't hear that stuff unless Doc Rivers is your coach to bring that back.
It's crazy.
But like Villanova's, I've always had a thing for. I love the way Villanova plays. I love how those guys come out, and those guys they've churned out a lot of NBA pros that are elite players, elite two-way guys. You talk about Jalen Brunson, Bridges again, Josh Hart, good player, DiVincenzo, good player. They've had a lot of those guys, so I was curious about him. So those red flags warned me. But the people who are like, man, Cam Whitmore sucks, like he's in the G League, that I'm like, yo, you guys give these guys some time. Guys some time. He's on a team that they're trying to win. He's not ready to play at that level. He's learning. He's still got a lot to work on passing wise. He's got to be a willing passer. He has I think if you compare him to power forwards, he's like not too bad as an assist percentage, but compared to shooting guards, he's like one of the worst of all time. Like assist percentage, the guy does not the greenest light you'll ever see. But he's a freaking talent, and Houston has to get him to learn how to play within the flow. But right now, for his role and like to score and make baskets and create shots, he's great at that. Like, you could win with those kind of guys. Like, before long is gone that those guys were unwinnable. I'm sorry, MPJ just won a ring last year, and he didn't even have a great finals. So you can win with those guys that have green lights if you scheme around that.
Lou, I know you was a lot higher on Cam Whitmore than Frankie was.
He was. I believe he was like my 8th or 7th or maybe 9th. I'll stick with 8th, just in the middle, ranked player in the draft. He's not perfect. Frankie touched a lot on his, the weakness that, obviously his passing is by far his biggest weakness. He was the youngest player in this draft class, guys.
Right.
His coach, that first of all, as a coach, fuck you. Like, again, stop talking shit about your players, especially after, like, that's not a good look.
Yeah, when they're going to the league, you don't want to.
Yeah, the following class is going to be like, why would I want to play for you? Yeah. When you had a 5-star and then you're talking shit about him and he's, especially now that he's hooping. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Sorry, Lou, but he fucked up his money.
Yeah, like, literally.
That fucks with your money. Like your draft slot, people forget because it's just about like, oh, you didn't get drafted that high. But that he was a projected top 5 pick that slipped all the way to
18.
18?
20, sorry, yeah, 20. You're right.
20 and
should have been 18.
He slipped all the way to 20. Like that fucked with his earnings a lot. Go ahead, Lou.
Yeah, basically cut him in half. But ironically, we were talking about the best scorers under 22 per 36 minutes, and we mentioned Anthony Edwards was at the top, and then Cam Thomas, and then Victor Wembanyama, and then Cam Whitmore. It's averaging 25 points, guys, per 36 minutes. 47, 39.5%. His free throw percentage isn't as good as you'd like it to be. Yeah, for sure. But again, for a guy who started off in the G League, literally getting DNPs, playing maybe 2-3 minutes and blowouts and stuff, to legitimately being their spark bench, basically just like their plug and play, their little spark plug off the bench where he is playing, 16, 18 minutes, but he's coming in here with a purpose, and the purpose is to help out this Rockets offense flow and get some points going. He's been doing literally that to AT, and huge credit to him. Credit to Ime for trusting him because at the start of the credit, and I know we're talking about camp. Credit to Ime for trusting Amen too. Amen's coming into his own. Last game was a fucking menace, and he was everywhere. So it's nice to see these rookies, now start to hit a little bit of a stride, start to get a little bit more comfortable, as it should be, man. Like, we're not judging nobody off of 20 games.
Right. And so we've all spoken on this topic really with some form of passion because it's not a new thing, right? It's not a new thing to count players out based on how they first start their NBA careers. And it makes no sense because historically, just looking at some of the players where, like, could you imagine if they gave up on these players based on the beginning of their careers? When you talk about, let's say, like, all the way dating back Jermaine O'Neal, right? Rasheed Wallace, Kobe Bryant. Remember, it took him like 3 years to start to become Kobe. Recently, Jalen Brunson. You look at Trae Young. You look at Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, who was Steph Curry before Steph Curry. The actual Steph Curry. If they gave up on him, imagine that. Like
Jimmy Butler,
like there are players who come into the league. It just takes some time sometimes, whether it's just their development, whether it's what their teams are asking them to do, whether it's whatever the case, it takes time sometimes. So I understand, like, we're in this hot take culture and a big part of sports is debate and all this, but that's just not really the correct way to look at the game. Because look at the guys we just talked about. We didn't even get into Scoot Henderson, who was getting it the worst, and he's kind of hooping now. Like, man, this stuff, it takes patience, man. Like, there's a huge learning curve. I think people kind of forget how tough the NBA is. And if you see players play in person, even if you go to a game or even just, me and Frankie, I know for sure, caught like some Miami Pro, the NBA is a whole different level. It's a whole different level. Everybody's not going to go in there day one and be Victor Wembanyama or Chet Holmgren or LeBron James, or everybody doesn't have that experience. Most players, when you really think about it, have a real tough learning curve. And so credit to these guys. I wish we mentioned more of Amen Thompson because he's been hooping lately also. But credit to these guys, credit to the guys from the past who started their careers off slow and then started to really build something. But yeah, man, like, we're going to always have the patience with players because there's no need for either one of us. Like, all three of us kind of have the mentality of there's no need to rush to have a take. Like, we're just going to watch the game and let it tell us what's going on. But these things take patience sometimes, people. Like, and so salute to these guys for really coming along, but especially Brandon Miller, because Jesus Christ.